Okay, guys, we're on to exercise number 7 for the flying changes. So number 7 is going to be for horses that can be a little bit slow and lazy, especially with their hind legs in the changes. So this may or may not correlate to being late behind. So horses can be late behind and not be slow behind. So they don't necessarily, it's not always a causation thing, but it definitely is a correlation thing. So we want the horse to have a lot of activity behind, and especially if you're having a horse that, you know, is like slow to take off in the canter, wants to kind of leave his butt behind him, and just in general, in the way that he uses himself and all of that. And this can be a problem in the changes. And so we want a way to activate them without actually getting them hot. So we don't want to get them like, okay, so let's say that you have a horse that is a little slow to take off or a little slow to do the change, meaning you ask and they do it like 2 strides later, right? Or they kind of half-heartedly do it, or you're running into this problem with them just being slow and lazy and their hind legs aren't engaged. We don't want to get after them because then that creates this nervousness, this tension that we don't want to deal with when it comes to the flying change. We don't want to introduce any tension unnecessarily because just in essence of them learning something new like this can create a little bit of tension in and of itself. And increased tension doesn't always mean that they're better using their hind legs. So it's not like they go together. So we need to have a way to activate the horse's hind legs and set them up for the change. The other thing that this exercise really does is that this exercise really helps with your ability to collect and then send your horse back out again. And in these small, minute ways. A lot of times people think of like collection, medium, and then extended gaits, and there's this huge jump between them. And I remember listening to, I think it was Scott Hassler giving a demonstration or like a lecture or a clinic. This was online, and I saw him talking to this person who was having trouble with her horse going from like a collected trot into an extended trot. And so a lot of times we have a tendency to think that it's like 1 to 10. But we want to be able to dial the horse back and forward. So we want to be able to say, my horse is a 4, can it be a 5? My horse is a 5, can it be a 3? My horse is a 3, can it be a 6, right? We want to, if 0 is halted and 10 is like the biggest extended canter, since we're working on the canter, let's say, do we have availability for our horse to be a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10? Okay. We have a tendency to be like they're a 2 or they're a 10. And we have to have the ability to have that entire range. I think it was JJ Tate, or maybe it was her mentor, Charles DeComfy, that said, you want to be able to ride like 100 different trots. And basically, because that's the combination of like speed, collection, engagement, like you want to be able to have all this variability. And it's literally like breaking that 1 to 10 down into 100 little pieces. Okay. So you want to really have that range that you can send the horse out and you can bring it back. How that works in the flying change exercise is that I like to work with these horses that can be a little bit slow behind and lack engagement, is to actually work a little bit with the working pirouette. And if you have a horse that doesn't have a good working pirouette, meaning you haven't worked on it or they get really slow and behind your leg in it, they don't really understand the exercise, then this won't be for you. But if you have a horse that you've worked on the pirouette and you can take it from like a 5 down to a 3, you can do a 10-meter circle with haunches in type feel to it. You can feel the horse become more engaged behind. You can feel it getting more powerful and collected, and you have that ability. And then you can send it back out to the 5 or to the 6 again, and then come back to the 3 or the 2, and then back out to the 5 or the 6. Then you can use that exercise actually for the flying changes to give the horse more jump, to have the horse have more engagement, and to also sort of quicken the hind legs for the flying change. So a little caveat of this is you can actually use half steps in this, to activate the hind legs too. But of course that's in the trot, so that's not going to help you right in the same gait that you're doing the flying changes. But obviously you can use half steps to sort of activate your horse's hind legs and then go up into the canter and work on the work for the changes. But you can also use the pirouette. So how that would look is that you are going to ride your regular canter, right? Your regular working canter. You're, not so much like collected yet. You're going to be able to collect it. You're going to bring it down. You're going to do this like 10-meter circle haunches in working pirouette thing. We're not talking about, doing Prix St. George type pirouettes or Grand Prix type pirouettes. We're not even talking about doing a full circle of it. It can be, just a quarter turn, okay, to get that engagement, to get that activity where you can feel like you can put your hind leg, you can put your hind legs on. You can put your legs on and activate the hind legs. Then you're going to ride out of that and ask for the change. So it's just another exercise to be able to have that ability to accordion the horse, right? Which is so important in all aspects of riding, but you want to be able to, in every flying change, you want to have that ability a little bit anyhow. You want to be able to, like, when you're prepping for a flying change, let's say that you're in third 3 and you turn and you make that turn across the short diagonal for the change, you want to be able to like collect a little bit, you want to package a little bit, and then you want to ride forward into a nice big change. You want that 8, you want that 9 in the change. So you want it clean, you want it big, you want it expressive. That comes from this ability to be able to collect, engage, and then ride that forward. And this is an exercise that helps your horse learn that. It also can help you really start to gain control of a different aspect of the canter, which you already should have, but this is going to solidify it. So far, all the exercises have been talking about this ability to control the lateral balance, right? Or the longitudinal balance in the sense of not having them, dip down or fall on the forehand. But we also want that longitudinal balance, that we can have the longitudinal balance and we can change the tempo, we can change the collection, we can change the dynamic of the canter, we can have it more on the spot with more jump, and then we can send that forward to a nice big change. So that's what this exercise is good for. You can amplify the canter, but you can also engage the hind legs into it. You do not want to slow the canter too much, okay? So even though we're talking about this, we're not talking about slowing the canter and getting the horse behind your leg that then you can't send it forward very easily. This isn't a collect, and send it forward change. Like, that's not what this is. This is just this ability that I want to be able to have the hind legs step underneath the center of the gravity a little bit more. I want to be able to activate them with my legs and say, oh, a little more jump, a little more jump. Now I want to be able to send that, just back up to, if I was down to a 2 or a 3, I want to be able to send that up to a 4 or a 5 and get the nice expressive change. This is one of the exercises that it loses its effectiveness if you do it through the walk. So this is farther along in your teaching the horse changes, meaning you have a horse that understands the change, it does a clean change, now you want to make it more expressive. That's where this exercise comes in. So it's not so much, yes, it's in if you have a horse that is having difficulty with the change because they won't let you sort of collect in them and send them out to a nice change, or they're slowing down too much and you need to activate them, or they're kind of being lazy about it, you can use this exercise. It's not so much one to teach the flying change as it is to make the flying change better, but I think it's really important to add into these 10 exercises. Okay, so that's number 7. I'll see you next time.